Please like, share, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. Thanks. I want to take a minute to talk about the camera footage and this car that we're all looking for. This camera is located on Linda Lane. It's pretty high up, and it's at the end of the block. You can't go any further once you get to this apartment. 1320 Linda Lane is the address. Originally, I thought it was the apartment just before it, which I think is 1317 Linda. But in any event, it's the same vicinity. If you look straight down this block, you can see how far Taylor Road is right there where that person is walking their dog. And I measured it. It's roughly 314 feet approximately to get to that road. The car would be on the other lane opposite, so it's further than that. That's, 0.06 of a mile and 105 yards for anyone else using different metrics. The average security system will see approximately 155 feet at night. Given that information, 314 feet plus is kind of far to properly distinguish this vehicle, as there are so many cars. I can think of at least 4 or 5 that are very, very similar. That bottom front bumper is what will differentiate these cars. The lights are kind of rounded too in the front. This came from the body cam on Taylor. And the times, I don't know if they add up. It's been reported the original camera that we don't have footage of saw the car approximately 2:45 is what they told people. So at 2:58, we see this white car going west on Taylor. This is not a good image as I took it off of my television screen, but it's just as bad on the video. But you can at least see in the video that it is white. So was this car then headed over to the house at that time? And then we see it way over on the other side of town at 3:45. I'm not so sure, but I guess it's possible. Well, I want to talk about this guy again because he keeps putting his name out there. And he's the neighbor that allegedly heard a scream and didn't report that for several weeks and kind of just remembered it. Let's hear his story again. I want to add in, this person is not guilty of anything. The police have not named him as a suspect, and he has done nothing wrong that we know of at this time.
A good place for us to start right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I work about like 10, usually like 9 to 11 hour shifts. So I went to work. I got off around, I think it was around 12 that night. It was kind of like a late close, and I like bullshitted with like a coworker for a little while after work, and then I went home. It was around, I don't know, like 1:30, 2-ish a.m. It was maybe when I got home, maybe and I'm always like kind of hoping that I have like a parking spot right in front of my door when I get there, because like lots of times on campus, there's like parties and like they're pretty full. And so like this time I noticed that like, I don't know, it wasn't really any cars as usual. I was like, cool, I'm gonna get a nice spot right in front. And there was I did, and I saw like this sort of like kind of like decked out like luxury, like I thought it was black SUV, maybe like a Beamer or something, and it had like rims, tinted windows, and I was like, oh, that's like a pretty cool car. And then like coming out, like I noticed some like plates from like Arizona, I want to say, or Montana. There's kind of like it's like I'm always like kind of curious what kind of like different plates are like around and stuff, because usually you just see like Idaho, especially in like my parking lot. And so like I came in, and it was like surprisingly like pretty empty that night. Like none of the houses and like that on those like 2 streets were having parties, which was like kind of unusual. And then I went home, It's like making some tea, just like doing some contact staff drills and like stretching. I think I played a game of League, and then I went to bed, and then as I was falling asleep. It usually takes me like 30 minutes to an hour to fall asleep. Like I don't know. I guess I just missed like initially like one of my neighbors returning hello after me. So I heard like a door shut, and then like apartment door shut, and like also like a scream. But like that's like normal. Like I always hear like screaming almost every Saturday night. So like I didn't really like think of it. And so, but like yeah, just looking back, I was like, I wonder if like that wasn't just like some drunk dude like screaming, like it's actually like the murder.
That is Laura's video from Hidden True Crime, and I'll post the link in the description of the story here so you can watch it. Let's talk about this. So, you heard what he said, and he also made a post on Reddit where he goes back over what he did. He states, "On the night of the murder, I'm sure there's some discrepancies. First, I got home a little late because I was talking to one of my coworkers after work. When I went home, it was pretty normal. I made some tea, did some drills. I think I played a game of LOL. I went to bed and I heard nothing out of the ordinary. When the cop knocked on my door the next day and asked if I heard anything, I was like, no, nothing unusual. I didn't know there was a murder. So small details like a faint scream in the distance. One of my neighbors getting home, closing their car door, closing their front door were not on my mind. I heard a scream, faint and party-like to my half-asleep eyes. To be clear, there's probably at least 5 screams every Saturday night." Well, I don't discount what he says there in terms of screaming and noises. However, he was so detailed. I think you would agree. He left out one huge detail, though. The Grub Bus. That's right. Enon was at the Grub Bus. He was not alone. He was accompanied by a female that you can see him speaking to. Let's go ahead and take a look at it.
Hello. I need 2 chicken burritos with extra slaw.
2 chicken burritos with extra $90 for it.
I know I have a $6 waiting for me. I would like to eat it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
So,
What's the reward?
ha 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 ha. There we
Oh,
go.
fuck, I just hit your jacket. Sorry, man.
Fuck yeah.
$13. Hell yeah.
Worth it.
Oh, always.
We know that Kaylee and Maddie were at the Grub Bus at 1:40 a.m.
You were at their house when you met them, right? I'm referring
No,
to a Reddit.
I read them.
thing.
They were actually outside. I never went inside.
Okay.
But no, I didn't like. I was in my apartment all night. So
Okay, the night
Uh,
of the murders or the crime, you were in your
yeah,
apartment all
I
night.
never really hung out with them. So like, to me they were just like some normal sorority girls that drinked every once in a while on the weekends. So
Okay. And yeah, and when I was asking you about meeting them, I want everybody else to know, and I know, but you also decided to share an AMA on Reddit recently, which is when I reached out to you, and you did kind of mention meeting them, or at least Kaylee, and maybe you think you might have met Xana and her boyfriend. That would be Ethan. Bringing them a bottle of wine, perhaps. Was that what happened? Or share us. Can you take us to meeting
yeah,
and
because
what was it
I
like?
think the person I think I remember most is Kaylee, and like when I introduced myself, I think she was like the first one I shook hands with. And yeah, I just had like this. It was a pretty nice bottle of wine. I don't remember what kind it was, but it was pretty expensive. And I was cooking with it, and I wasn't gonna finish it. And I was like taking my trash out, so I don't remember why I was outside. And I was just like like chit chatting, drinking a little bit, playing some cool music. And so I like was like went down, and they were like drinking some beer, and I was just like asked her if she wanted this bottle of wine. I wasn't gonna finish this, and they were like, yeah, fuck yeah. And then I was like, yeah. And then I was just introduced. I'm like the neighbor, like lived upstairs, and yeah, that was pretty much it. Yeah, they were super nice and smiley, and that's pretty much all I
Yeah.
remember. I
You
never met
referred
him after that. I
Okay.
was like, I always thought about crashing their party sometimes, but I never actually like did it. I usually got my own thing going on.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you referred to them in the Reddit AMA as beautiful, joyful. I can't remember the other two adjectives, but
yeah,
that yeah.
yeah, they seem really cool. My
Yeah.
yeah, and some of my coworkers actually went to high school with them in Coeur d'Alene, so it's like it's a trip for us. So yeah, and they said they're super cool too. So it's crazy that it's like as you think when you think about these people getting stabbed, it's kind of like horrifying because it makes you think that it can happen to anyone, like not just like people who are doing some shit, you know what I mean, like just like normal people every day. And I think that's the really like spooky scary part right now to some people.
Okay, so that was interesting. We're going to look back on this and we're going to kind of start from the Grub Bus. So there's Enan with his female friend. They picked up food. We did not see them order. They picked it up and they carried on. Somebody made a rude comment about his jacket, which wasn't very nice. He didn't get confrontational, just looked annoyed, like whatever, and walked off. Something interesting though, he walked right past Kaylee and Maddie, and he didn't acknowledge them at all. Not a hello, like, hey, what's up? Nothing. And it does not appear that they noticed or acknowledged him either. It does seem that Maddie looked at his jacket as it was a little bit loud, but she didn't seem like she recognized him.
Hard also because like we're surrounded by it everywhere, but after a few weeks, it's starting to get better. I don't know. I have the other day I was thinking about it and I was pretty quiet, but we've been trying to like, I don't know. It's best to just try not to think about it, right now. But it's hard also because like we're surrounded by it everywhere. But
Right. Yeah, speaking of speculations, you live in the neighborhood, which means there was somebody that, did this. Do you speculate without naming names? We don't want to name any names or anything or identify people on our channel, but do you ever speculate about who could have possibly done this?
I mean for sure, but no one fits the bill. Honestly, when I think about all my neighbors, I'm just like, no way. Like everyone, I think, even like who might kill them at the slightest inconvenience, it's just completely irrational and ridiculous. Like when I think about any like individual personally, like any personal like neighbor, like anyone in this area, I'm just like, there's no way. Like they're all like pretty normal people. They all got their own shit going on. To think of them doing this is just absurd. But
So with
yeah,
that being said, what none of your neighbors fit the bill. What type of person do you think this might have been? What do you think the motive was?
I'm looking into the. I don't know if it's true, but I was looking into a report that said it was like almost a blunt, heavy object, and a really strong person did it. I'm kind of imagining like maybe like a hunter dude, like some like super mentally ill dude who's maybe experienced with hunting, who has like some type of like farm blunt stabbing object and just like really waited patiently until everything was really quiet, like maybe he knew about this weekend was being quiet and then went in there and did it. But I don't know, it's like it's so bizarre, like nothing thinking about it's hard to think about it because I think the first thing I try to think about is a motive, and that's like it just draws me into a bunch of blanks. So yeah, but I mean, there's like there's surrounding areas that have like just have a history of lead poisoning. So like,
So that was interesting. That was his account of November the 13th in the early morning hours. Extremely detailed. Then he goes off into surrounding areas have lead poisoning, and that was real. And then the tape cut out. It was like the screen froze on his end and Laura couldn't get him back for a minute. So here are some images of him when he walked in. That's him when he picked up his order and he's walking out after, I believe, maybe that guy with the backward hat said that his coat was ugly. I'm not sure. I find that really odd that a person can remember every detail down to a noise, drinking a cup of tea, but failed to mention they were at the Grub Bus. I'm not saying that this guy is guilty of anything. I'm just stating the obvious. This is really strange, and I've been ridiculed for calling him out as being someone who should be looked at. But I'm going to tell you again, and I now have even more reason to say this is someone who needs to be looked at, whether they were involved or not. Why are they omitting facts, and why are they including facts that may or may have not happened? The police still want anyone with any information of anyone driving a 2011 through 2013 Hyundai Elantra to please contact the Moscow Police Department and give them that information. In this video, we kind of covered the distance of that camera. I'm not sure if they're going to release a video on that white car or why they haven't. I would just like to know how sure they are it's truly an Elantra. It's not that I doubt the police. I know that they have really highly sophisticated equipment and computers and people that can look at those things and make determinations of makes and models of vehicles. However, with that great distance and not seeing the original video and how bad the other videos are, I know I'm not the only one wondering this. It's not that I doubt the police. It's just that there's a lot of very strange information in this case, and I'm just really trying to decipher it and trying to help anywhere that I can. I hope we get justice for these young people, as well as little Buddy. You can call all tips and any information to the Moscow Police, which is fielded by the FBI. That number is 1-800-225-5324. And the 208-883-7180 is finally fixed and is being forwarded to that 800 number. Thank you guys for watching, and most of all, be safe. Hopefully we get some answers soon in this case, and it moves forward.